Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the rangefinders on the battleship, and particularly the different methods that the battleship had for rangefinding and which ones were preferred. We are in turret number 2, and right here, according to this tag, we have one of the battleship's Mark 52 46-foot stereoscopic rangefinders. This one is produced by Bausch & Lomb, an optics company, and this particular one is number 3, inspected in 1942. So presumably Iowa got 1 and 2, and then New Jersey got 3 and 4. These are the rangefinders that are available in the 16-inch turrets, particularly turrets 2 and turret 3. Turret 1 had a completely different type of rangefinder, and by the configuration that you can see the modern Iowa class in, they're completely removed. These rangefinders are purely a backup to the main rangefinders up on the superstructure. Those are called Mark 38 rangefinders, and they have a 26.5-foot stereoscopic optical rangefinder in them. New Jersey also has a Mark 8 radar on top, although some of the Iowas have Mark 13s. So that is already 2 of the ways that we have of spotting a target. Optically, through a rangefinder like this that has magnifiers in it, or through radar. The third way that we have to spot targets is using aircraft, and that's very important because the range of these optical systems is limited. You can magnify them a lot, but you can't see past the horizon. And extending the horizon based on how high those rangefinders are is also a problem. So obviously this one here in turret 2 is going to be limited because it's mounted very low. It's relatively close to the water, and so you're just not going to be able to see a target as far away as the one that's on top of the superstructure. That's okay. Again, this is a backup. The ones on top of the superstructure have very little armor plating because that would be way too much top weight. It would cause the ship to roll over. But by putting a rangefinder inside the turret, you're able to armor it with the same system of armor that's protecting the guns, one of the thickest systems on the entire ship. So in theory, by the time that rangefinder's been knocked out and you've moved down to local rangefinders like this one, you've closed with the target enough that this one can actually see. So why can't you just make the ship infinitely tall? It is an engineering problem. The taller you make the ship, the more likely she is to roll over. But that's a problem that can be solved through engineering. The real issue is American battleships cannot be taller than 116 feet tall. And that's how high our rangefinder is above the waterline at our normal draft. The reason for that is the Brooklyn Navy Yard. The New York Navy Yard is on the wrong side of the Brooklyn Bridge. So all American battleships that were ever built were limited to 116 feet tall, so they could still fit under that bridge. In our class, 2 of the Iowa class battleships, Iowa and Missouri, were built there. So obviously they had to be able to make it under the bridge to get back out to sea. But the Brooklyn Navy Yard is also maintaining a lot of ships. So New Jersey, even though she's not built there, she spent some time there in the 1950s receiving maintenance work. So even if the battleship isn't built there, it's one of the Navy's main Navy yards during the time period that this ship was in service. And so ships still have to be able to transit there to receive maintenance work. And so if you look at an old pre-dreadnought type battleship with a military mast, or a newer battleship with cage masts, or the tripod-masted battleships, the reconstructed ones, or the true superstructure battleships of World War II era, they all max out at about the same height, 116 feet. From the waterline, on a clear day, you can probably see about 13 miles to the horizon, at sea where there's nothing else in your way. Obviously here in Philadelphia, we can't see that far because of all the buildings around us. But by elevating the rangefinder, we can look down to the horizon from sea level On a clear day without any obstructions around like the buildings we've got now, you can see, I don't know, maybe 10 miles to the horizon. So elevating your rangefinders is important. In fact, Battleship New Jersey, seeing back down to the horizon at sea level from the top of the superstructure, can see about 11.5 nautical miles away. Not much gain, but the radar can see about 2 miles further, about 13.5 miles from its position on top of the optical rangefinder. So that's for a target that is sea level height. You introduce another battleship to the mix, a ship that's, say, 100 feet tall, similar in height to an Iowa-class battleship, and we can see their superstructure poking over the horizon about 16.5 miles away with the optical rangefinders and a little over 18 miles away with the radar. Again, this isn't quite the maximum range of the guns. These guns can accurately shoot over 20 miles. So that's where our third type of spotting comes in, and that is using aircraft to spot for us. Aircraft, forward observers, whatever you have off of this platform that can spot in where your guns are shooting. By putting a guy on the ground further forward or an aircraft overhead, they can see where the shells are landing. So we've got 3 ways of hitting the target. Which ways are preferred? And interestingly, like everything else on the channel, it really depends on circumstances. The ship's doctrine calls for ranging to use the radar first. That's the preferred method, followed by aircraft or forward observer, followed by the optics as your least preferable option. So that is to get the range to the target right now. Any of those options are good for getting us the bearing to the target. In fact, the optical rangefinder, when we turn and can actually see the target, we've already got the bearing. So bearing is fine. The problem is bearing tells me where the target is right now. I need the deflection. I need to know how far to lead the target for at the speed it's going, where it will be when my projectiles get there. Keep in mind that at a range of 23 miles, it takes about 88 seconds for a shell to get to the target. So for calculating deflection, the preferred method is optical first, radar second, and then using aircraft as the third option. And so if we average those numbers up and divide by 2, you get that radar is the most usable, followed by the optics, and then aircraft at the bottom. But at the beginning of an engagement, all of these systems are probably working perfectly. So you could be getting radar range and optical deflection to the target, and you're getting the best of both worlds. Now, as things get knocked out, South Dakota loses her radar during the Battle of Guadalcanal, then you can switch to other things. You're at night, so you don't have any aircraft in the air. You're using optics or radar. So which method do you think is more useful? Let us know in the comment section down below. Obviously, different circumstances are going to dictate things, like you can't use an aircraft at night very effectively. But which of those do you think is most effective in most circumstances? Radar certainly gives you both the longest range over the horizon and the best capability, bad weather, night, daytime. But the optics are highly advanced systems as well that can't be knocked out by things like the loss of power. Let us know in the comments section down below which one you think is best. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, also from a number of other businesses and private individuals like yourselves. We really appreciate your support. There's a link in the description below for ways you can donate to support the museum. You can also support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people find out about the museum and the channel. Thanks for watching.